Why are you in here? Have you been here the whole time? I've been gone for days. What are you doing? Why does it smell like that in here? I have questions. Do you have any snacks? And what's with all the amps? I like amps. And no. All right. Boomer. We're the same age. Get a Kemper. Idiot. And snacks. I had one. I sold it. And no. All right. We're getting snacks. Can you shut up about the snacks? We're supposed to be talking about the Kemper that I sold. Like, the Kemper is the reason why I bought all these amps in the first place. You know this. You're me. I bet you can't guess why. You can guess why, but, you know, for the sake of the fact that this is on YouTube now, can you just guess? I guess it's just us now. Don't know where that other guy went. Further to the point, in order for me to explain why I sold the Kemper, it's probably smart for me to talk about why I bought it in the first place. In 2011, oh, this is heavy. In 2011, the Kemper was released, and it offered a solution to a problem that, oh my, get it. Well, it was only really solved by owning amps or having a Line 6 pod. The Kemper existing was pretty convenient timing in my career. I just finished university. I had no money. I had very little money. Where's the reamp box? Over there. And I was too stupid to get a typical job. This guy got fired from stacking shelves at a supermarket, so I had to pick a different route. Speaker cable. Will this do? Is this it? Nope, that's a soldering iron. Found the speaker cable. My dad was kind enough to let me build a studio on his property, which is this space. However, I knew that, hello, at the time, if I wanted to have all my bases covered for running a studio, I needed to have a solution for guitar tones. Basically, the long and short was, this space is not huge, and if I wanted to run cabs along with the amps that I own, then I would have to make noise. Boiled down, my options were pretty slim. I had to consider the neighbours. Running loud cabs and trying reamping out at 1 in the morning is not my best idea. I did try it, but yeah, my neighbours weren't so keen. I don't understand. Like, I thought this sounded really cool. I considered like ISO cabs and different options, and I did quite a lot of research, but each option had its own pro and con. If you do want a video on that, that's fine. Just leave a comment down below and we'll get to it. Anyway, Kemper. So the Kemper and all it offered seemed to be a pretty good cure-all. You know, for all the problems that existed. You want to steal the soul of an amp? Check, does that. You want to buy presets from your favourite producers? Check, can do that. You know, the thought process of, if it's good enough for Andy Sneap, do I really need to think about pulling guitar tones ever again? You know, because it's like, Andy Sneap's okay with it, so therefore don't use your brain ever again. At least that's what I thought. Ah, coffee. What were we talking about? Initially owning a Kemper kind of makes sense, right? And it did. Up until about 2018 when I sold the Kemper, it made its way onto every record that I had produced or at least mixed to some extent. And that spans like the Osiris record, Is Legend, Wovenwar, Sleep Token. It's all in there to some extent. It was during these productions that I started realizing that I wanted to achieve more than just making guitar tones, and in order to do that I needed different tools. I was starting to get invested in pedals, looking at things from a different point of view and trying to make shapes that weren't really viable within the Kemper domain. So it led me to asking quite a lot of questions about the unit itself. That experimentation and that process of owning the Kemper led me to buying the amps that I kept coming back to so that I could use them, so that I could become more familiar with them, so that I wasn't ever stuck. By the way, the reamping session that I'm setting up for is this one. It's Joel's cover of a band called Loathe. So if you want to hear the final outcome of what I'm doing today, go click on that video. The Kemper saved my ass, but it also introduced new problems. Oh my god, get out. In our world where immediate satisfaction is normal and our attention span is now at an extreme, the Kemper and the Axe effects introduced this new relationship to tone hunting that I wasn't too fond of. We ended up with this situation where if you didn't like something, you'd just be scrolling through. You could be scrolling through thousands of pounds worth of gear and not really being paying attention to what it is that you're doing or changing. You'd be making huge changes. I was making this mistake. And you could have been one thing away from it being fine in the first place, but we can change rigs, so why not change rigs? You know, you'd be scrolling through, you're shit, you're dead, I hate it, it's too spongy, get out, be gone, bye, don't like you, don't care. And then that's normal now. It's now kind of the situation where we no longer consider whether we are at fault or whether the equipment is at fault. It's immediately the equipment. I don't think that's quite right. For some of you, you may say this approach works just fine for you, and that's cool. I'm not putting that into contention. I'm saying for me, the reason why I chose to change is because I chose to have complete understanding over what it was that I was doing or what it was that I was trying to achieve. And it's this problem solving and this understanding of the amps and of the gear related that directly led to me finding my voice. So I guess that comes down to number one. The reason why I sold the Kemper was because real amps were better for the things that I was needing to be doing. That was until this happened. Neural changed the game for me completely. It meant that I could have everything that I really needed on my computer. So does this mean that the Kemper wasn't right for me? No. At the time, it was amazing, but it isn't right for me now. The journey had led me to a crossroads. In order to appreciate what I needed to through digital to find what it was that I actually wanted in analog. Using digital as like a sketch pad had informed my decision-making process. It reinformed the necessity of cultivating my skills in order to create what it was that I wanted. The reason why Neural DSP changed things is because, well, now I have something I can rely on in order to sketch out guitar tones. And when that's then given the green light by the band, I either then leave it alone, like in Loathe, or I transfer that intent to the actual amps that I have. This process kind of left the Kemper in a dead space. It was a piece of analog-ish hardware that had no real place in the analog domain because tubes sounded better, but it also wasn't a plug-in, so Neural was more convenient. It kind of makes you wonder that if Kemper had simply built a plugin, would they be in this sort of weird half-space purgatory that they may find themselves occupying now? My feeling is that they'd probably be market-leading still. Imagine this. I know for a fact that if I could comfortably and reliably profile an amp, like you do with the Kemper, and then bring that onto any mixing session without a hardware dongle and run it in software, that would be game-changing. That's worth so much money. That saves so much time. I could go to all the effort of building these tones with bands and then just take them anywhere. Don't think that exists yet. Not easily, at least. So that now brings me to where we're now. Plugins are an amazing option and amps are too, especially when it comes directly to tracking to tape. And by tape, I mean just working with amps when writing, when recording directly, rather than treating it like a bolt-on process. As for the Kemper, it's not convenient. It tonally doesn't beat the enjoyment that I get selfishly out of amps, and it doesn't beat the convenience of having plugins wherever you need them. I don't know where it sits. Through this process, oh my days, I no longer fall into tones by accident. Everything happens with intent, on purpose. I can hear what I want to hear, I see how it works, it comes together. It's not, oh, that's good, but I don't know how it's good. It's built, it's made, and it happens more often now as a result of this evolutionary process. The idea of committing on the way in, not only does it make my job of mixing easier. It's inexplicable. There's a direct connection to what you're making as a result of it. It might be pseudo, you know, it may not be actually real, but it feels better. And there's something in that, because if it feels better, then what if it means you play better because you value it more? So how does this translate to your tone journey? The Kemper is a static frame of reference. It's a profile, it's a photograph. For someone trying to understand how to build tones from scratch, it's a tool, but I don't know if it's the tool. Amps have characteristics, they have limitation. Changing tubes can affect that, changing tone stacks changes it further. For me, the more you understand that, the more you can appreciate what it is that you have in front of you, and you start responding in kind to that. When it was built into this box, I became dissociated and devalued what it was that I had. Not the Kemper, but what the Kemper was providing me with. So I don't know if the Kemper is the best educational tool for developing that process, because you are given what you are given until you go and buy amps to make what you want. Have you found it limiting, but not really known that it's limiting you, having all these options and not really knowing what to stick with? For me, being able to learn to love one thing at a time and learn absolutely every aspect of it before I move on means that I don't end up in this, there's a phrase for, oh, my brain is not working. Option paralysis, brain paralysis. How does this relate to you? Am I on my own? Did I make a mistake selling the Kemper? I don't think I did. How does that relate to your own experiences? Are they too dissimilar to mine? Do you love your Kemper for a different reason to me? I know I completely missed out the whole touring aspect because I don't tour. I'm stuck in a room. Well, actually, at the moment, no one tours, but that's a bit of a sore subject. Talk to me about your experiences. If there's anything that you'd like to know about more in future, gear, questions answered, whatever, by all means leave a comment down below and I'll add it to the list and I'll see if we can develop it into an idea for a video. But until then, thank you for watching. Don't be a dick. Eat your goddamn vegetables. And I hope you find the best tones in 2021 that you can. Cheers.